Now at first glance, this car looks very familiar. It looks like any XC40 that you would have seen in a Volvo showroom for the past few years already, but this is actually brand new for 2021. Volvo calls this the XC40 Recharge T5, and it quite literally means that this is an XC40 that you can recharge. Yes, this is a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, which means that Volvo's range of locally assembled PHEVs is now complete. But remember the name, it's T5, not T8 like the other models. So there is a slight variation, and it begins with what lies underneath the hood. So you can see the engine says Volvo, but if you peel away this engine cover, you are essentially looking at the same 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbo that's powering the Proton X50. But of course you can see that there are a lot of bright orange lines here. These are power cables that essentially hook the engine up to an electric motor. You have a combined output of 262 PS and 425 Newton meters of torque, which is quite impressive. And as for the economical figures, well, this car will do 44 km of pure electric range and an average quoted of 2.2 litres per 100 km. Now do the maths and you can basically take the XC40 Recharge T5 from PJ to Cyberjaya without using a drop of fuel. You could even do KL to Seremban on maybe a little over 3 ringgit based on today's RON 95 prices. But of course, to get anywhere close to these published claims, you are going to have to be extremely disciplined with your throttle and with your charging. But otherwise, even if you cast all of that aside, it is still something that's much more efficient than your standard compact crossover in the premium segment at this price range. What we like a lot about the whole Recharge model is how well its electric components are packaged. So just like the SPA platform that underpins bigger models like the S90 and the XC90, all of the electrification is very well hidden under the floor. What this means is that practicality is more or less unaffected by the whole electrification process. The boot is just as big. You might lose out a little bit of space underneath the boot floor, but even then there's a little compartment that's big enough to store the charging cable. The XC40 Recharge T5 is surprisingly good to drive. Now I say surprising not because I was expecting it to be bad, but rather I wasn't expecting it to be quite as energetic as Volvo's other T8 models. So yeah, the T8, they have a meatier 2-litre engine, but we already know that the 1.5-litre 3-cylinder engine does quite a good job in the Proton X50. So of course it's a downsized turbo with quite a bit of pep in the low range, but what happens when you bolster an electric motor to the engine is that you get so much more potential at lower RPMs. I mean, we're talking about 425 Newton meters of torque. It wasn't very long ago when pickup truck manufacturers were boasting about anything above 400 Newton meters, because it is a lot. It is quite a lot of twist. And what's more impressive is the fact that all of that is delivered in a package that is very refined and very well insulated, very quiet. So any reservations, any concerns about 1.5-litre engines or rather 3-cylinder engines being noisy or rough or just unrefined, well, none of those concerns are reflected in the way the XC40 drives. It's very smooth. It feels like a car that is well worth its price. Which brings us to the magic number. The XC40 Recharge T5 retails for 255,888 ringgit. If you're quick, you can get one for just under 242,000 ringgit with the sales tax exemption factored in, which makes it about 10,000 ringgit more expensive than the base T5R design model. So the big question is it worth it? For us, it's a yes, because for under 250,000 ringgit, few other cars are as sophisticated as the XC40 in terms of how it's designed, engineered and built. What would you have instead?